Railway, as well as some key solution makers who have been able to drive this change in collaboration with the Western Railways Ahmedabad division. Uh, we all know Indian Railways is the backbone of Indian infrastructure. And when a particular wing of that, let's say Western Railway, which we are focusing on today, takes a step in the right direction, takes steps towards environmental sustainability, it sets an example for everyone in the country. Whether it's other government institutions, whether it is other private organizations, and it creates so much motivation among the people, who have been fighting against the odds to drive environmental sustainability. I think something really good that has happened, post this lockdown, and now we are unlocking and trying to build back to the new normal, or you can say, the hashtag build back better. What's happening is that people are realizing that sustainability is not just an option anymore. Sustainability is something that has to be at the core of every business activity, of every activity, every economic activity that happens around us. And the response is increasingly better. However, institutions like the Western Railway Ahmedabad division have been taking incremental and recurring steps, is what we want to.
You can unmute now, Ashish. Ashish, you can unmute. Please unmute Ashish. Host.
Okay, so sorry about that technical interruption. I got muted myself being the host, but that happens. That's technology. So what I was saying was, I think some amazing initiatives have been taken in a recurring fashion, and it's not something that's had started now. So we want to present all these initiatives within the next 1 hour to all the audience who's hearing this, everyone who's watching this on Facebook live, and this video will also be shared later. The purpose is that transformation that Indian Railways and Western Railways is trying to bring in making green railways 100% reality, and making the concept of net zero a reality again. That's what we want to talk about. Personally, I am the founder of Green Dream Foundation, and we have been working on a lot of environmental sustainability initiatives since 2011. And in fact, the recent initiatives have been all about cutting down the emissions in ways of segregating at source, driving efficient waste management, wastewater management, and revival of water bodies. And I am very pleased to be joined by other panelists who have been doing even bigger, better, and greater work. And that's exactly what we need, because this is not something that is a job of one organization or one individual. The success lies in everyone getting together and creating those incremental stories together. So I think before we move on, Samir, I would want you to share a few thoughts before we move on further.
Sure, Ashish. Thanks for opening this so aptly for the audience over here. And as you rightly said, it's a very wide impact. There are three challenges or the three crises which we face today. We face the climate crisis, we face the nature crisis, we face the pollution and waste crisis. We have been witnessing this with increasing air temperatures, wildfires, droughts, floods, and hurricanes. We have been also witnessing this in increasing air pollution and oceans getting choked with plastic waste. Even if you take each of this individually, they are pretty serious. And if you can think of them collectively, it will be mind blowing. That's the enormity of the challenges which are there. Having said that, I feel we are fortunate to have large entities like Western Railways, taking advanced measures of framing environment policy and also leading the queue by implementing various initiatives such as the bio toilets initiative, which they've already implemented in almost 69,000 coaches across. They are also moving progressively towards renewable energy. I believe they have started implementation of rooftop solar panels. The target is 400 megawatts, and already 254 megawatt is under execution. So they are leading from the front on all these pages. At YI, we have this initiative of climate change. The idea with YI is that under the umbrella of CII, we involve the various stakeholders like the organizations, the regulators, and bring them on a podium for the real implementation. In Ahmedabad, we have been able to take support of industry organizations. We've had planting and sapling exercises, and we've covered almost 3 lakh saplings across Ahmedabad. Uh, Along with that, we have also been able to get support from engineering institutes, where we conducted Ideathon on water reuse, recycling measures. We had presence of 300 engineering students, brainstorming across the day. That was in conjunction with UA. So there are entities and there are various initiatives being taken. And Ashish, we are really glad to have a diverse speaker list, right? What do you say? Unmute. This catches on, I'm telling you.
Yes, finally, I can speak. So I think definitely I completely agree with you. And it's important to have a diverse panel all the time to have fair, neutral, and progressive discussions.
Absolutely.
Like you can see the diversity here. We're talking about solid waste, initiatives for rainwater conservation, initiatives for wastewater treatment in a way, completely sustainable solutions. And it's not about that we're just talking about ideas or solutions. We're talking about them being implemented already. And
True.
that's what is really exciting.
Absolutely.
And to add on to what you said, Sameer, I think the key lies, and the key has already been, I think, understood and very well acknowledged by the Western Railways Ahmedabad division, is that driving efficiency in the manufacturing facilities or greening of the railway properties, on the concepts of green buildings, better waste management, whether it's solid or water. These are some of the objectives. If these are pursued seriously in collaboration with more and more committed social entrepreneurs like some of us who are here today, I think we'll just see, the railways going quickly to that target that they have set for themselves in the coming years to become net zero. So things are looking positive.
Yeah. 2030 is the target year for becoming net zero. Pretty ambitious.
But I think we need it, in the current
Yeah.
scenario. I was just seeing this, even this, I'm not sure if you've seen, a clock has come over in a place in New York. I was seeing somewhere yesterday where they put on a clock which lists how much time do we have to return
True.
from the,
True.
point of no return, like really. So we have to avert that point of no return. And I think these ambitious goals are very, very important. But yes, while being ambitious, we have to be realistic and make sure that whatever we are implementing is truly sustainable and performs on the triple bottom line.
True.
So I think with this, Sameer, we'll take further course of the discussion today. I'll
Sure.
not wait a lot before, inviting someone very eminent for the welcome address today, who's Mr. Frederick Pariath. He is the Senior Divisional Environment Engineer for the Ahmedabad Division of Western Railways. And, obviously, we have discussed with him. A lot of us already know what they have been doing, but I think it will be in the best interest if he gives the welcome and sets the tone for the session today. So over to you, Frederick, sir. I think he'll need to be unmuted as well by the host. Okay.
Good evening, everybody, and very happy to have I am really proud to be in August company, and I welcome all the environmentalists right here who are out here to support our initiatives towards a sustainable environment. And I'm really proud that I could get through eminent personalities on the panel. So I would like to welcome, first of all, Dr. Swajit Mukherjee, who is a total package in environment, because he started with beach cleanup, he did Mithibai river cleanup, then he is the green man of Mumbai, then he is right now he's into eco bricks, and he is the waterman of Bombay. So he is a multi-talented person who is into everything that you call the sustainable environment. And the best thing about him is he sees to it that everybody who is on board are trained also. He keeps on giving everybody the knowledge that he has. So I am very thankful that he could join us in spite of his busy schedule. Next on board is Mr. Dharmender Parikh. Dharmender Parikh, he's a scientist who had started Jathrofa-based biodiesel, and Western Railway had the good fortune to run a train on Jathrofa-based bio-toilet from Billimora to Vagai on 10th April 2010. And I happened to be the person who was in contact with him, and I was at that time I was the AME at Mumbai division. And now he's into solid waste management, and he's also into plastic waste management through pyrolysis process. I wouldn't like to go into the technicalities of pyrolysis process because that is his forte, and he would be in a better position to let us know what is that. Then we have on board Mr. Ganges Reddy. Ganges Reddy is the waterman of, I call him waterman of Hyderabad, but actually it is wrong. I should call him waterman of India. He's a person who hates seeing anybody wasting water. The moment he comes and he says, "Ye pani waste ho raha hai," he said, "Why don't we recycle it? Or why don't we do rainwater harvesting or something like that?" So I always call him the rainwater harvest, the waterman of India. And of course, the host and the co-host, they also are environmentalists in their own way. So I'm very thankful, and I'm very thankful, ladies and gentlemen, who have joined us in this webinar. Thank you. I hand over to my host and co-host to go take it on further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frederick sir, for introducing everyone. And you have with using those taglines, you have actually given a very unique identity to everyone on the panel. So thank you so much for that. And with this, I think so that the Swachhta Pakhwada is happening, and I think it's not only a time to expedite the number of activities, the frequency of the activities towards cleanliness and sanitation, but I think this is also a time where we remind ourselves as to what have we done right, what do we need to build upon, because a lot of times we need to replicate success stories. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. If Western Railways Ahmedabad division has taken some good steps, I think not just the other divisions, but also other corporations, other communities must take lessons, must take it as a success story and try to replicate in their respective regions. I think that's only if everyone tries to create their own stories, from scratch. Again, like Samir also mentioned, we do not have that much time left. 2030 is the time when we should have made the kind of incremental environmental conservation initiatives. We have people, we have the knowledge, we have solutions that work. It's just about getting everything together. And that's why I was speaking to one of the panelists today, and I was mentioning how the success of every initiative lies in bringing private, public, and NGO sector together. Because when private are the ones who are bringing the fuel of the solutions, the innovations, the scalability, the government comes in and gives it the validation that if it's going something that has been tested and worked by them, it has got all the validation in place, and the NGO kind of brings in the local community acceptance, the ground reality, the ground challenges. And if all of these entities meet together, I think there is no other way than to make it successful. So quickly now, I think we'll jump on to the panel discussion now. And with all the panelists today, again, the first panelist for today, I would request Mr. Frederick to be the one. And, there are a couple of points that came into our mind, which I thought we'll put across. And then, sir, you can dwell upon those points further. The couple of these points are, we would love to know what have been the major green initiatives or sustainability or environmental initiatives of the Ahmedabad division of Western Railways. And what has been, because like rightly you just introduced all the panelists, so because they are all connected to the initiatives that you have been doing, so would love to know that with respect to addressing and improving the environmental sustainability for Western Railways, how have you been associated with them, and tell us a little more about the kind of work you have been doing with all of them.
Thank you, Sadhya. Indian Railway as a whole is very environment conscious, and we are working towards becoming a green transport. And it is not that only Ahmedabad division does this. It is just because right now we are in between the Swasthta Pakhwada, and this is the right time to go online because of the current situation of COVID-19. So I took an opportunity to show cause Ahmedabad division, but it doesn't mean that we are the only one who is doing it. Each and every division all over India is doing the same thing. But at Western Railway, we are, I would rate us to be a little more conscious, and that is why we were last year awarded with the Environment Shield, All India Environment Shield, which was given to Western Railway. So that itself is good enough for me to claim that we are one of the most advanced and environment friendly zones. Now, when it comes to the green initiatives of Ahmedabad division, I would like to give some facts and figures. Like I've brought it down to in sections. Like first is when you think of environment, then first thing that comes in mind is water management. So as far as water management is concerned, we have done water audit at all major water consuming places, especially the stations and units which are having a lot of water consumption. So with that water audit and complying to those audits, we have been able to save last year 7.64% of water through this. That is about 50 K, and we do recycling of around 50 KLD through ETP, STP, and all other things. And we have got around 23 rainwater harvesting locations. And then in order to save water, we have even started quick watering systems. Then we have put up an automatic coach washing plant, which consumes less water than the conventional washing. So that way we have done a lot for water management. Then for solid waste management, we have done segregation at source. We have got wet, dry, and now we have even started plastic dustbins at all stations. So we have got 3, so that it is segregated at source. Then we have got same system in the colonies, railway colonies. And so what happens is we have this, our solid waste is always in a segregated manner we get, so that it is easier to dispose it off. And we are coming up with 2 zero waste management systems at Gandhidham and Ahmedabad. And zero waste management system, the idea is that we will not give away anything for landfills. Totally everything will be segregated. First, initially wet waste, dry waste will be segregated, and wet waste will be converted into compost. And then dry waste also, they will be again segregated into recyclable and non-recyclable. Those which are non-recyclable will be sent off to cement companies where it can be burnt. That is the only place where it can be burnt, and it will help in their cleans also. And the others we segregate. We segregate glass. We'll segregate papers, plastics, PET bottle plastics and non-PET bottle plastics, and silver foils. So we'll be segregating everything, and then we will be recycling it. Like PET bottles, Ahmedabad division has already has a MOU with Eco Hike in Tamil Nadu, whereby they take our bottle flax or bottles, PET bottles, and then they recycle it into whatever we want. It could be linen items or napkins or t-shirts. So that is one system. Then comes what about the non-PET? For non-PET plastics, we are right now in touch with our panelist, Mr. Dharmender Parikh, who is into pyrolysis process, whereby we convert this into crude oil. And if we do one more process, then we can use it as biodiesel. So we are into that also, which will be we have targeted as a project by March 21. We want to complete that. So solid waste management. Then we have done a lot of forestation. Last year we did forestation in 92.33 hectares all over Ahmedabad division, and which was around 9.87 above compared to last year. So every year we are taking baby steps, but we are taking it we are taking a stride towards more forestation. And then the best part about this is there is a survival rate of almost 70%, which is what is all about. Because otherwise what happens generally is we do tree plantation, then forget it. Now what we have done in Ahmedabad division from this year, what we have started is we are giving adopted tree. Today we do a tree plantation. For today, for example, today itself we did around 200 to 50 tree plantation in Sabarmati ICD coaching depot. Now each employee will be given two trees. He has to look after it, and in case that tree doesn't grow or it goes off, then he has to replant one, but he has to look after those two. That is, he is adopting the tree. Then we got some energy management also. We have done a lot of things in energy management. We did energy audit in 28 stations, and we have done solar panels. We already installed solar panels of 735.38 kW. And then we are using biofuels also. We have used biofuels as with 5% blended in our diesel engines. So all in all, we are trying our level best to do what is possible. So these are some of the initiatives that we have come through.
Thank you so much for sharing, sir. And I think trying is the key. When you try, I think the job gets half done at that very time, because there is intent and you're trying. So, and the people who have solutions come together automatically. I'm very pleased to hear about the initiatives, and I think so must be the audience. We are receiving some comments as well. So I think without taking much time, we'll move on, because now that you've already told about the connection of all the other panelists towards the initiatives that the Western Railway is taking. Now, I think individually they can also dwell a little more upon what exactly are these initiatives. Have they been able to replicate it? If there are any success stories they wish to share with us, because they are the most inspirational stories ever. So I'll now request Dr. Shubhajit Mukherjee, who is the founder of Mission Green India, and anyone who is in the space of environment would know his initiatives, because he's so active, so passionate. Whether it's about coming up with effective rainwater harvesting solutions, eco breaks. I think it's the energy that he brings in, the youth that he's able to activate is the USP. So without taking much time, I'll request Dr. Subhajit to kindly share his views with us, please.
Thank you so much, Ashish ji, and extremely grateful to Frederick sir and everyone here, because I had been listening to all of you, and all of you are doing such amazing work that I'm learning. I'm definitely learning in the process. And somewhere I should thank Western Railways, and it is not just an organization, but it is an institution for people to grow. And whenever I had some good ideas, sometimes it was very crazy where nobody liked it, I went to Frederick sir and told him, sir, this is what I have. This is a challenge I see where we can take care of it. And he was always there to support. I mean, he's even every day, whenever I need any guidance, he's always there. So thank you, sir, for being there. And because of your support and guidance and the positive energy, I could explore a lot of things which were there in my mind, and it gave us very good success. Even if I talk about the innovation of doing catching the rain, it was all because of him. And there was a very difficult project we know about. It's a cleanup initiative in Bandra East area where nobody likes to come, but he was the person. He said, no, I am there to help you, I'm there to guide you. He made special arrangements so that we could accommodate 200 plus volunteers and do the cleanup. So every time we need such heroes, in fact such principals of the organizations who are there to guide us, and that's how we are able to perform great. And with the same thought, I have to today come in front of all of you under his supervision that we have started a challenge called EcoBrick Challenge, as you see here. And EcoBrick Challenge is nothing but a very simple thought of bottling all the MLP plastic which we consume at home or during travel. So the thought is very simple that as a traveler, when I go to a station, I always buy a PET bottle because this is something, a companion for me for a drinking purpose. And during the entire travel, the bottle is with me, and I'm definitely going to buy a lot of chips, a lot of chocolates, a lot of wrappers will be generated. And these are the MLP plastic. These are one of the worst form of plastic which are layered with aluminum, and it is impossible to reuse it to a very good extent. Otherwise, there are possibility to use it, but they're very expensive. So with the help of all the expert panel right now, what I'm trying to explore is if it is possible for us to encourage this thought in railways with support from Frederick sir, that as a traveler, whenever you're traveling, you buy a bottle of water, keep it with you, convert it into a EcoBrick and take it as an EcoBrick challenge, bottle all the MLP plastic in this, and the entire travel, this is going to stay with you. Once your traveling is completed, once you reach home, this bottle will be almost filled. Or even if it is not filled, you can carry on with this until unless it is filled at home, and then throw it as a dry waste, as a sukha kachra. So it becomes very difficult very easy for the management of this. Segregation becomes easy, and I'm really surprised to see how this has been utilized, because you are the expert panel. You know it very well that if the plastic is clean and if it is dry, then these MLPs can be reused in certain aspects, like making of roads, making of. I just saw there was a school being made because they had been converting this into sheets, and I'm surprised to hear just now that Frederick sir has already used these sheets in toilets and bio toilets and water areas. You're already using it. A lot of cabins that can be made out of this. So it can be a traveler's initiative of every citizen, in fact, in the nation, in the world. They can start making EcoBrick as the EcoBrick challenge and do their bit in nation building. So this is why I wanted to share this idea with all the minds here together, because I'm just a thought. But yes, if the expertise comes in picture and if this can be reused in a better way and introduced as a campaign, because I shared it on all the social media groups. So far, I already have 2,000 students who have already accepted this as a challenge. And I got a call from the DRM office, and a lot of railway employees also called me saying that, oh, wow, that there's something very interesting which we can explore on certain areas. So the plastic waste will be managed in a better way. And with your support, we can contribute this somewhere in the railways also.
Dr. Shubhaji, this is an amazing initiative, and you are a popular man on social media. I think you already know. I don't need to mention. So whatever initiatives you take, it creates a wave among the youngsters already. So while you have shown this bottle, I have personally seen this on social media numerous times, and I see that the response coming in is great. So that's what I said. You keep coming up with new initiatives. It feels like with every season you have a new initiative to offer, and we can't really say no to it. So I really appreciate the great work that you're doing. And what I can see is, and we can discuss it later, that railways definitely can take this initiative to the next level, because everyone is traveling, everyone wants to have water, and everyone is consuming MLP. So while those bigger FMCG companies transition to eco-friendly packaging, which is also in the pipeline, It's about the MLP which is being generated right now. What can we do with it? And EcoBrick, it's definitely one of the options. And I think it will very smartly link to the next talk from Professor Dharmendra as well, because I heard he's working on the pyrolysis, wherein we will be able to create valuable products out of it, right? And the key of all of that, like you rightly mentioned, is segregation at source. What you just mentioned about inculcating a habit of a traveler having this bottle and filling it, you literally are segregating on the go, making sure it is clean. And like we all know, like you rightly mentioned, whenever waste is segregated, we can have maximum resource recovery, and it creates incremental benefits for everyone. So I completely agree with you. We will have some more questions, which we'll take towards the Q&A round at the end. But for now, I will now very smoothly link this to Professor Dharmendra Parekh, who is the CMD for Debrisol Private Limited. He's also a national award winner for technology innovation in polymer waste management and recycling technology. And while I've been reading about and also seeing a lot of work that Professor Dharmendra has done, being a scientist, would love to know more about the innovation for which you received the national award from the Government of India, and also how the Debrisol model is different from the typical waste management models or sites. So over to you, Professor Dharmendra, and would love to hear from you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Dharmendra.
Yes, welcome. And thank you very much to Frederick sir and all of you. Basically, I would prefer to deliver all the things in Hindi, because we are talking about the solid waste management or environment and green initiative. Then every local public should be understand in our national language. So I would prefer to speak all the things in Hindi, if you permit me.
Definitely. Zarur, please.
Thank you very much. See, this is also difficult to speak in Hindi.
आप प्लीज हिंदी का प्रयोग कीजिए, बहुत बढ़िया रहेगा.
I will try, right? मैं ट्राई करता हूँ कि हिंदी में कैसे इसको लिया जाए,
अनुवाद करके.
रेलवे फेडरिक सर ने जब से ये इनिशिएटिव किया और हमें बोला कि धर्मेंद्र जी कुछ ऐसा करना है कि जिसकी वजह से मुझे हमारे यहाँ जितना भी कूड़ा कचरा निकलता है वो सबको जीरो वेस्ट करना है. मुझे डस्टबिन में से कुछ भी बाहर फेंकना नहीं है, डस्टबिन में से किसी को कुछ भी देना नहीं है. तो हम लोगों ने सोचा कि भाई डस्टबिन में से किसी को कुछ देना नहीं है तो वो कैसे कर पाएंगे. लेकिन हमने यहाँ पे एक गांव में, एक विलेज में, नगर पालिका लेवल पे वो काम करने का ट्राई किया था डेब्रिसोल ने. उसमें जो बेसिक आइडिया था वो डंप साइट्स जो है, वो डंप साइट्स में जनरल वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट मॉडल्स में ऐसा होता है कि दे कलेक्ट ऑल द debris from garbage from each and every houses and commercial properties. और वो जितना भी कलेक्शन होता है वो सारा कलेक्शंस वो लोग एक जगह पे जाके छोड़ देते हैं. वहाँ पे एक ढेर बन जाता है और वो ढेर से ढेर बनते 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 एक बड़ा माउंड हो जाता है. और वो एक इन अहमदाबाद दैट इज एट पिराना, राइट. तो एक बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है. तो हमने ऐसा सोचा कि ऐसा क्यों किया जाए और ऐसे करें कि भाई हम लोग ये डंप साइट्स पे जो एवरीडे गार्बेज आता है वो गार्बेज को एवरीडे हम प्रोसेस करें और प्रोडक्ट में कन्वर्ट कर दें. और अगर वो एवरीडे प्रोसेस करके एवरीडे प्रोडक्ट में कन्वर्ट हो जाता है तो देयर शुड बी नो वेस्ट डिस्चार्ज फॉर लैंडफिल. और ऐसे करके जीरो वेस्ट अचीव होना चाहिए. उसके लिए सबसे पहले माइक्रो रिकवरी करनी बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाती है. इसीलिए ये जितना भी कचरा है, जितना भी कूड़ा है, उसको कचरे की तरह से नहीं देखते हुए अगर हम रिसोर्सिस की तरह से देखते हैं तो वो जो कंपोनेंट्स है वो कंपोनेंट्स हमारे लिए एक रॉ मटेरियल बन जाता है. इसलिए हमने पहले उसका सेपरेशन सिस्टम डेवलप किया और सेपरेशन करके उसको कंप्लीटली बायोडिग्रेडेबल, नॉन बायोडिग्रेडेबल में भी जो पॉलीमर है या जो चीजें है उसको सपोज ग्लास है, टेक्सटाइल्स है, एल्यूमिनियम्स है, पेट बॉटल्स है, सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक है, कैरी बैग्स वगैरह है, वो सारी चीजों को हम लोग अलग कर लेते हैं और सब चीज अलग हो जाने के बाद जो चीज के लिए जो बेस्ट पॉसिबल प्रोसेसिंग है वो प्रोसेसिंग करके उसको प्रोडक्ट में कन्वर्ट कर देते हैं। तो ऐसा करने से चीज ऐसी हो जाती है कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा मैक्सिमम चीजों को हम प्रोडक्ट में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं और गार्बेज जो है वो रिसोर्स बन जाता है, क्योंकि वो प्रोडक्ट बाद में मार्केट में सेल कर किया जा सकता है और उसमें से पैसे वापस आ सकते हैं। तो ये जो गार्बेज के जो ढेर लगते थे उसकी जगह पे वो गार्बेज जो है वो प्रोडक्ट में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा। सेम कंसेप्ट में एक प्रॉब्लम ऐसा आता था कि भाई सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक है या मल्टी लेयर्स जो MLPs जो भी हमने देखा इकोब्रिक्स कंसेप्ट में वो MLP है, ऐसी कुछ चीजें जो है इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू रिसाइकल। तो ये जो ऐसी रिसाइकलिंग में डिफिकल्ट चीजें जो है वो रिसाइकलिंग डिफिकल्ट चीज जो है उनको भी हम प्रोसेस करके सबसे पहले तो बिटुमिनस के साथ मिक्स किया जाए ऐसे बाइंडर फॉर्म में उसको ला देते हैं। तो उससे रोड बनाने के लिए बिटुमिनस के अंदर जो प्लास्टिक मिक्स करने के लिए चाहिए वो मटेरियल तैयार हो जाता है और उसको रोड बनाने हॉट मिक्स प्लांट वाले के साथ टाइप करके उनको दिया जा सकता है, जो बिटुमिनस और प्लास्टिक वेस्ट का मिक्स रोड में यूज हो जाएगा। जो भी भारत सरकार का प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क योजना में जो कंसेप्ट है वो कंसेप्ट में वो मटेरियल यूजफुल है। कुछ चीजें ऐसी होती है कि जो पायरोलिसिस की जो हमने बीच में बात किया, तो बेसिकली इंडिया की पर्टिकुलरली बात करें हम तो इंडिया या वेस्टर्न रेलवे की हम बात करें या किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की बात करें तो इंडिया में ऐसा है कि भाई बायो डिग्रेडेबल वेस्ट के साथ साथ एग्रीकल्चर वेस्ट या फोलिएज वेस्ट जिसको बोलते हैं बायोमास, वो बायोमास का भी बहुत बड़ा वेस्ट जनरेट होता है। रेलवे कॉलोनीज है या जहाँ जहाँ हमारा बड़ा प्लांटेशंस हुआ है वो सारा प्लांटेशंस का फोलिएज होता है, वो सारा बायोमास एक जगह पे इकट्ठा करते हैं हम, फिर उसके ढेर करके उसको जला देते हैं। तो डेट इज द रॉन्ग प्रैक्टिसेस। हमको वैसा नहीं करके हमने ऐसा किया था कि भाई ये सारे जितने भी बायोमास थे, सर ने बताया कि मैं पहले बायोडीजल जेट्रोफा बेस्ड बायोडीजल मेरा इनिशिएटिव था, तो उसमें भी ऐसा होता था कि बायोडीजल जो है वो ऑयल्स में से बायोडीजल कन्वर्ट हो जाता था। लेकिन ऑयल केक जो है वो ऑयल केक टॉक्सिक ऑयल केक का क्या किया जाए, वो अगेन प्रॉब्लम था। तो वो टॉक्सिक ऑयल केक इज ए बायोमास वेस्ट। ऐसे वो सारे जो बायोमास वेस्ट है वो बायोमास वेस्ट को पायरोलिसिस मेथड से बायो ऑयल में कन्वर्ट किया जा सकता है। और बायो ऑयल को जब कन्वर्ट करते हैं तो साइंटिफिकली वो जो हेलो हेलो
Yes, we can hear you now.
यस, तो जो फ्लेमेबिलिटी नहीं है तो उसका वजह ये होता है कि वो जो बायो ऑयल प्रोड्यूस होता है उसमें बहुत ज्यादा ऑक्सीजनेट्स रहते हैं। उसको कम करने के लिए हम लोगों ने उसमें हाइड्रोजन ऐड करने के पर्पज से वेस्ट प्लास्टिक्स जो सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट की डंप साइट्स पे वेस्ट प्लास्टिक जो है सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक जो हम थ्रो कर देते हैं वेस्ट प्लास्टिक उसको और बायोमास को कंबाइन साथ में ही पायरोलिसिस करके अपग्रेड क्वालिटी बायो ऑयल प्रोड्यूस करने का टेक्नोलॉजी तैयार करने का प्रयास किया। उससे ये प्रॉब्लम होता है, इससे ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व होता है कि जिससे बायोमास वेस्ट और वेस्ट प्लास्टिक्स दोनों को एक साथ आप प्रोसेस कर सकते हैं। और टेक्नोलॉजी एज सच ऐसा है कि जिसमें हम लोग चाहे तो इंडिविजुअल और चाहे तो कंबाइन दोनों साथ में उसको यूज करके उसको वापस मॉलिक्यूलर फॉर्म रिफॉर्म करके उसको हम तीनों एनर्जी मटेरियल में स्टोर कर सकते हैं। मतलब जितना भी वेस्ट होता है वो सारा वेस्ट लिक्विड सॉलिड और गैसियस फॉर्म में आपको एज ए प्रोडक्ट मिल जाता है। अभी इंडिया में इसके लिए मैच्योर टेक्नोलॉजी लेवल नहीं है। इवन टुडे दिस इज नॉट ए मैच्योर टेक्नोलॉजिकल लेवल, और इसीलिए उसकी जो एडेप्टेबिलिटी है वो एडेप्टेबिलिटी समहाउ इतना ज्यादा नहीं है। हम लोग ऐसी कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि ये टेक्नोलॉजी इतना स्मूथ हो जाए और इतने स्मॉल लेवल पे हम उसको ला पाए कि जिसकी वजह से जो हमारा डस्टबिन कंसेप्ट है वो डस्टबिन कंसेप्ट ही निकल जाए। क्योंकि हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि बेसिकली वी स्टोर अवर गार्बेज, वी ट्रांसपोर्ट अवर गार्बेज एंड वी थ्रो अवर गार्बेज। मेरे हिसाब से वी शुड हैव सच टेक्नोलॉजी। वो टेक्नोलॉजी की वजह से गार्बेज को वो टेक्नोलॉजिकल सॉल्यूशन में थ्रो करना चाहिए कि जहाँ पे वो प्रोडक्ट में कन्वर्ट हो जाए। we don't want to store it. We don't want to transport it. We should transport the products. Why we should transport the garbage? So this one is the technology. Pyrolysis is the technology कि अगर उसको हम matured level पे ले जाते हैं और उसको ऐसे बना सकते हैं, तो उससे ये possible है. और इसके पीछे काम करने का बहुत टाइम से काम किया जा रहा है और काफी हद तक आगे हम लोग बढ़ चुके हैं उसमें. विद इन अ वेरी शॉर्ट पीरियड, समझो कि शायद 1 आध साल के अंदर सॉल्यूशन आ जाएगा उसका, टेक्निकल और कॉमर्शियल, both may be possible. So this is the whole thing. Now you can ask any particular question. If I can answer, I will be more happy.
So thank you so much, Dr. Parekh.
Thank you.
It's definitely sounding very promising, and I think we really hope that you will be take it to the commercial level, like you were saying. Our best wishes are with you, and more importantly, you also have the support from Mr. Frederick, believing in your vision. He mentioned as to, I think there is a plan for setting up a 250 kg pyrolysis plant at the Ahmedabad station as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. The process is already under. Now we are going to start the designing and everything for the Western Railway for the 250 kg per day complete zero waste, zero discharge system for the single-use plastics and biomass together under the one machine only.
And what will be the outputs of this particular plant?
It is in the form of gas, liquid, and carbon charge, solid. That is solid in solid form. And gas can be reutilized to run the system, and liquid can be utilized instead of LDO, light diesel oil, and it can replace the light diesel oil applications. And the carbon can be again it can be made bio coal and replace the traditional coal.
Okay. So I think so your products are such that they are fitting in and creating sustainability from an economic standpoint as well. Because
Exactly.
as you're saying, if it's able to replace the oil, then in that way, you're creating economic viability of the product as well.
Exactly. And the difference is that generally in a bigger scale, we go for the waste to energy. In that case, we produce power. But that power we are not able to store that power. We must have to transmit the power and we have to utilize the power. And in this case, in this technology, we are not producing the power, but we are producing the energy material in the storable form. Right. So this is economically more benefit in the waste to energy and the waste to pyrolysis.
Definitely it is. So I think it's great to know. We may have more questions that we'll take up towards the end in the form of a Q&A in interest of the time, and because we have still 2 more speakers to go. So I'll now suggest that we move on to the next panelist for today. That is Mr. Ganges Reddy, who's a CMD for Blue Drops Enviro Private Limited. They're into wastewater treatment, but it's not typically just another wastewater treatment. There's something special about it. So I'll let Mr. Reddy focus a little about it, and also, the curiosity and some questions that came in advance. I would like to mention that here from Mr. Ganges is that whenever we're talking about wastewater treatments and technologies, because there are a lot of players, it's a very there's a lot of traffic in this market. What really defines sustainability when you do this in your own fashion with the technology that you have in place? Because the buyer is also becoming more and more conscious and intelligent, which is a good news for sustainable technologies, I guess, because we don't want them to take uninformed decisions. So would love to know that, what is the sustainability related to the wastewater treatment and technologies, and share your experiences with us.
Thank you, Ashish. Thanks for gracious introduction, and I thank Western Railway for bringing all of us together to do something meaningful, and feels very good to do something that can be seen, witnessed on the ground in action, beyond an idealistic situation. So thanks to Frederick sir and his team who have been painstakingly, introduced and learned and how to work with the tenders, push things together, to kind of make this a reality. It's not has been an easy exercise. It took about a year for them to frame things to bring it to the ground, and I have witnessed all of that, and the determination of he and his team has brought some good demoable, not pilots for sure. They're really working. We finished one of the projects in Bhuj. It's a 24 KLD effluent treatment plant. At that time, it was published that anybody can actually bid for it. So there are so many technologies that have come. Finally, they chose. They actually asked me, we didn't know that this green technology exists, in this fashion. Now that we are already moving forward, why don't you actually bid for it? They pushed me literally. I didn't know where the Bhuj was on the globe, so I had to go there, and we did that. Right now, it is treating all the pit line water in Bhuj. It's a finished product. Then now we are working with Kankaria coaching depot, where all the coach washing water is right now being let into municipal drains, and Western Railway has really considered that not a drop of water should be let out. So we are working there. We are in the final stages of commissioning this plant. It's a green ETP of first of its kind in the Indian Railways of that capacity. So it will be inaugurated, and all of you will have notifications to join that gracious ceremony. So coming to the sustainability, why railway has chosen and why Western Railway particularly has taken interest is just as a classical example I quote always is that you build a building, it takes about let's say 2 crores to build a building, and if you're asking about operations and maintenance of this building, probably you're spending maybe about 10-15 lakhs for 20 years, just a couple of coats of paint and some breakdown of the tiles or electrical fittings, plumbing. So for a 2 crore investment, you're at the most you're talking about 20 lakhs for 20 years. But contrary to that, wastewater treatment, whether sewage treatment or effluent treatment, is going to cost you for 20 years a bomb. It will be somewhere between 4x to 8x, which means that 2 crores of your asset is going to take you anywhere from 8 crores to 16 crores to operate, maintain it, and continue with it. So the sustainability in India, if you say why a lot of systems are set up and we still don't see a greater change, is that people sign up when they don't know about what's going to incur later. So sustainability for me, the first is economical viability for a country like ours. Economical viability, then it has to be appropriate, that it should not involve very high-tech operations where it becomes very a private game for a few companies to play with. It should be something which is easy to operate, then it is doable for people to maintain it. Then environmentally, it has to be friendly, that we are trying to solve one problem of wastewater, but every time you run the electricity meter, every 1,000 units that we are burning today to run systems, 700 units is still coming from fossil fuel. So while solving one problem, we are creating another problem of carbon footprint, and we are not aware of it. And a lot of us think, to set up a system, what is the footprint? How much area do we need? But I always ask, what are the byproducts you are creating when you are treating? You're creating tons of sludge that needs to be shipped to a different place to manage it, and it becomes a solid waste, a problem to be solved by somebody else. So the sustainability comes in one problem, you solve it, it's solved forever. And it has to be solved environmentally friendly, economically, and they should work for a very long term. In this way, I really appreciate Western Railway taking the initiatives to introduce a green technology. And I'm finding it very more pleasant to work with the railway team, that they're more and more, they're asking what can we do? What else can we do? They're now, I see them struggling to bring water neutrality, and they are very close to bringing water neutrality in many places, because they're including the rainwater into the game. They're trying to conserve the water, recycle the water. I'm happy that they will become an example for the country to follow.
That's that's great to hear, Ganges, because you just touched upon the triple bottom line, wherein we got to deploy solutions that perform economically, environmentally, and socially. Only they can sustain. Even better, what is music to our ears, not just mine. I think I'll say our, as all audiences, that the Western Railways has stepped up and collaborated and provided all the support, and I think that is really really motivating, especially when we are working in this sector, which is still evolving and trying to become more and more mainstream. So I think this will go a long way. So thanks to you for believing in the vision of sustainable technology, and thanks to Mr. Frederick and the entire team for believing in initiatives like these. I think one more question that I have before I move on to the next and the final panelist for today. I have a question for you, is that how is the water neutrality achieved for any given campus or facility where you implement?
See, this word is coined because we are all on the meter, like you said in the beginning. In the New York, there is a clock set up for the point of no return. We are getting there sooner. Today, people are thinking, the wastewater is a nuisance, but tomorrow we will all fight with our neighbors that my wastewater I will not give you. Forget about giving clean water. See, when we are talking about water neutrality, is that we all should, as a campuses, should limit our withdrawal of these resources from nature or from other sources. So water neutrality is achieved only when you are able to conserve. There's the first step is conserve, spend less. Second thing is whatever you spend, try to treat it and recycle it. The second step. Third thing, there's a beautiful way the nature has given us. It actually rains. We are not come to a situation where we don't see rain. This year, Ahmedabad, if you see quite a bit of rain, they already met their annual quota, by August itself, and September as a bonus. So if that rainwater can be captured and added back into the repository, that is the only component, major component that can bring water neutrality, because you cannot produce water. And every time you use water, out of every 10 liters that you use, at least 2 liters we lose. Only 80% of that comes to be treated and recycled. So to me, the rainwater harvesting, not just charging the groundwater, but all the built structures have to be very well captured. That's where your secret of water neutrality, or if at all water positivity, can happen.
Sure. That makes sense. And I think very well said, and I think the concept of waste being a resource applies to obviously wastewater as well. And the more people realize, and water scarcity cases rising across the country, obviously that situation that you're envisioning could be possible, wherein obviously wastewater would be looked at as just a resource instead of something that has to be disposed of, or put or disposed of in an unsustainable fashion, which I personally see as well on a day-to-day basis, which is really upsetting. But the purpose is there is hope. This entire webinar is about hope and something good that is already happening. So and we keep discussing as to how in not just the western side of the country, I've seen a lot of places across the capital of the country, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, wherein there is open discharge of wastewater being happening without realizing the kind of threats it is creating, not only environmentally but also to the biodiversity. So without taking much time now and moving on to the final panelists for today, it's been pretty enriching so far. I'll request now Mr. Dhruv Desai, who's the co-chair for Ye Ahmedabad, and he's also the director of Shubh Labh Consultancy. And understanding that they have been working very closely with the Ahmedabad division of Western Railways. So would love to know about the initiatives, and also how are you able to influence the public in Ahmedabad on the green initiatives part?
Thank you, Ashish. And first of all, I would like to thank Frederick sir to sort of bringing every experts on board from different genres. I think probably, Ashish, this is one area wherein you would not like to be represented as it from industry association, because we are the sort of ones who are I would not say blamed for, but we sort of contribute a lot into the pollution, be it air pollution, water pollution, and sort of noise pollution, everything. So I think kind of giving you guys a brief in a minute about what YI is all about. So YI basically it's a sort of an organization and a part of CII which works for nation building activity. And what we do is, as a part of nation building, we do a lot of thought leadership and youth leadership, activities wherein we get connected to a lot of youth and school kids as such. And only entrepreneurs and businessmen from different backgrounds will be part of this forum. And fortunately, we have been part of Western Railway initiative since I would say now 2-3 years now. And so right from it was cleanliness of Sabarmati riverfront last year to bringing out attention to Mr. Mahatma Gandhi, where our Mahatma Gandhi, wherein we had this Dandi Yatra all across the India, and we were a keynote of it, and DRM sir acknowledged that initiative as well. To today's tree plantation at Sabarmati coaching unit, and so a lot of activities that we do with Western Railway to bring out sort of awareness in terms of green sustainable environment. Now, coming back to your second question at, how we influence, the local public in Ahmedabad is, so what we have is, we have a great connect, if you see industry wide. So we have a lot of members coming on board from industry associations like CII, YI. We have a lot of other bodies as a part of CII as well, wherein every industrialist would come on board and who has an inclination towards, doing something good for the nation, social cause. At YI, we have a rural initiative vertical, which I think probably all of you has mentioned. So what we do is we have a tie with IGBC body, which is Green Building Council body, wherein we educate the villages nearby and sort of give them explain them the importance of green village initiative. So after getting the green village certification, they get a lot of grants, which I think no village in our state knows as of now. So what we are doing right now is we are creating an awareness for the villages. We are sort of approaching the sarpanches, the gram panchayat of all the villages, and making them explain that if you do this kind of initiatives, you'll be converted to green village, wherein you'll get a lot of grants. So that is what we do at Rural Initiative Vertical. With that, we have a Yuva and Thalir vertical of our own, wherein we have ties with a lot of universities, and we get directly in touch with youngsters. I think probably one thing that you all would agree is, and you all have mentioned, is that we all are doing this for our future generations to come. There is nothing, so it is very important that they know the importance of green sustainability or pollution free environment. So sort of we get connected to our colleges, and we involve them into our initiative. So we have Thalir vertical also, which actually gets connected to school kids. What we do at YI is we technically explain the kids, who in turn would explain their parents about not doing certain stuff. So I think Mr. Reddy has mentioned, or a few of the panelists mentioned that we need that kind of attitude first before creating such kind of products and everything. That attitude will come from our future generation itself. So our kids, if a kid would explain his or her mother or father that you should not be littering outside, or you should not be throwing garbage outside, so sort of smallest of initiatives like this would create a lot of impact. So that is what we do or have been doing since a decade now with our institutes involved. And obviously last, as Samir mentioned about our climate change initiative, that we are, so every year we come up with a mandate which all YI chapters work on. So we have 51 chapters across the country, city-wise. And for example, this year we have water conservation as a part of our climate change initiative. So we do activities which are related to water conservation. So we have approached a lot of industry bodies. We have sort of given them place to sort of harvest their water, or reuse their water by installing certain devices also. And we have helped them connect with the vendors who supply those devices. So I think more or less we are right now working on all fronts, wherein we create that awareness about our future generations by involving our future generation. right? So I think in a nutshell, I would say, I would just end my speech sort of with that if you don't have respect for the nature, I think the nature will not respect you. So, thank you for giving me this platform to give you guys a brief about YI, and over to Ashish. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dhruv. And what you say is we completely resonate because I think it's the youth who's the future, and they themselves realize, and I think they're smarter than a majority of the public today. They are ahead of the curve, and they are already talking about things which our current generation or our older generations have realized much later. But I always say it's better late than never. If even if we are able to up our game right now, involving the youth with the support of the local communities, governments, government institutions, like the railways, I think we will be able to make that stride that we have been looking to do as a set of people. Uh,
Sure.
Samir, would you like to add in anything before we move on to the Q&A for today?
It's been a terrific thing, and actually I was just taking, or rather absorbing, the invaluable inputs coming in. If I talk about Mr. Subhajit Mukherjee, I thought his smile is contagious, but his ideas are more contagious. Such a novice thought, and what a draconian shift it could bring if the waste could be led to the source, for recycling, for reuse. Absolutely. From there to Mr. Dharmendra Parekh and Mr. Ganges Reddy, who rightly explained to us that water conservation, if it is not something which is something for the future, it is something for the near term, for the immediate right now, and the cost of it is in multiples. We are already witnessing a large extent to it, and it would be right for everybody to come and participate on this together, Ashish. So yeah, we should start with the Q&A now. I think a lot of people have gathered their questions already.
Definitely. We had a lot of good comments, questions, suggestions coming in throughout the session, which
Yeah.
tells that, whosoever is there is listening it carefully. So while that validation happens, one of the questions that has come up is, I'll pick it up, is I think this question would be directed towards Ganges, which is, the question is, can meeting water neutrality alone reduce micro pollutants as well? And what about making a drinkable grade of water? Let me know if you want me to repeat the question.
Unmute, please. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I think this is a classic question. I think it's very relevant for all of us to register this for good deal of discussions anywhere else. We have not come to a stage in life in India where we have to create drinking water out of wastewater. It is very expensive. अभी के लिए इतना हालत नहीं है. So we still have time.
Okay.
So it's going to be expensive. We can do it. If you जितना गंदा पानी भी दे सकते हैं आप, हम उसको ड्रिंकिंग क्वालिटी दे सकते हैं वापस. लेकिन everything adds to expense and it's not affordable right now. So we should probably focus more on bringing water to some kind of recycling and reuse. And then micropollutants, yes, that is a concern. So we have to have appropriate technologies to address. And what we are doing as a green technology does address these micropollutants, especially when the water gets in contact as an effluent, not just the sewage. There are other things that happen to the water. So people should focus just not on BOD reduction, COD reduction, TSS reduction, but the micropollutants based on what use they are applying. So I would say, yes, it is possible and we can do it. We have been doing it actually.
That's great to know. That's great to know. And I think the point that we have to start somewhere is more important. We can always reach bigger levels, more efficient levels. The purpose is to start, right? Majority of the wastewater is still not getting recycled in our country. And I think we need to first address that at war footing while increasing the efficiency levels, as always. Another important and interesting comment came in, which I think everyone will resonate, especially Dr. Shubhajit and Dhruv, because you talked about, you guys are all about people's movement. And so am I as well, personally. It's all about getting people together and convincing them that they need to be a part of that change, because all these initiatives, whether I've seen your initiatives or initiatives that we see here, and I'm sure the same you are experiencing in Western Railways, Ahmedabad as well. Things become much easier if people are activated. Things become much more natural. More ideas come in because you need a lot of positive synergy when you are implementing any environmental sustainability initiative. It's a very noble thing to do, and you need people on your side to be able to do that. Now, to bring that attitude in people, a lot of time things are like we are talking about going back to the past. I've said this earlier. A lot of times solutions lie in our past and not the West. The sustainable habits that we all had, and that's what the comment is. I'm just reflecting upon that. They've written in Hindi. I'll say it out. पुरानी चीजों का पुनः उपयोग आपकी कंजूसी नहीं बताता, बल्कि प्राकृतिक संसाधनों पर अनावश्यक दबाव डालता है. Right? So basically, you're creating undesired pressure on resources. हमारा एक culture जो बन गया है, the single-use culture, the consumerism culture, this has to also change. And I think if you're really talking about concepts of circular economy, which is all beautifully linked to climate action, waste management, rainwater harvesting, water recycling, we have to really think about mending habits at the core level as well. Because, obviously the population is growing, the resources are limited. So we need to think about that. So I really appreciate that comment coming in. Another question that has come in is, and I think maybe Dr. Shubhajit can take this. This is to do with single-use plastic. What can be done with single-use plastic at the source, like at a railway unit? So I think we have addressed it, but maybe Dr. Shubhajit, if you can remind us, what can be done with that collected single-use plastic?
Yes, actually, credit goes to Frederick sir already, because he is already using collected MLP plastics and making bio toilets, making rooms, portable toilets, cabins. And it is a very simple method where in a factory situation, it is converted into sheets, and those sheets can be used for anything that comes in your mind, as creative as you can be. And in this platform, I just want everyone to understand one thing: plastic is a material. It's a material for manufacturing purpose. Material loss is a very big concern, because at this point of time, this material is imported from different countries where we are paying money for that. Plastic, those granules that comes from outside, and a lot of countries are not reliable. So we need to be very careful, use the material and reuse it as much as possible.
Definitely. And plastic itself is, a lot of times, plastic has gained a lot of naughty publicity for itself. And the reason for that is single-use plastic. Otherwise, the kind of plastics we are surrounded with, it's always there. Like it's in your mobile phone, it's in the laptop that we are in. We are surrounded with plastic. The problem is not the good quality plastic, because that is getting recycled. And like we all know, India has the highest recycling rate in the world for plastic, especially PET. 91% of PET bottles get recycled in India. The global average is not even 10%. Right? So we have been doing that wonderfully well. The problem is single-use plastic. We created single-use plastic, but they did not think about such recyclability. So while they work, solutions have come up, the interim solutions as to what can be done with it. And I think it's a great example set by the Ahmedabad division of Western Railways as to be utilizing that material, which could have ideally been lying in your landfills, causing land, air, and water pollution. How land pollution? Because when this goes to landfills, it basically degrades your soil. How water pollution? Because landfills have leachates going into the groundwater, contaminating your groundwater. Thirdly, air pollution. How? Because every now and then, not just landfill, we see piles of waste being burnt. Har kone pe kahin kooda jala deta hai, right? So, and some cities enjoy better quality air quality than others. But people living in metropolitan cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, you guys, there's no new news that we are breathing toxicants, right? And so the more we can keep this single-use plastic away, and it's in a framework where it is utilized for the welfare, like we heard about the bio toilets, we heard about eco bricks, we heard about a new technology of pyrolysis coming up in a commercial format. So the point is, solutions exist. And today we have seen over the discussion of the last 70-80 minutes that we have seen success stories by all these social entrepreneurs, activists, environmentalists who have come together, young people who have been able to bring that change. So I think, and special thanks to again, Frederick sir, who it is very evident that your mentorship and your leadership in this entire initiative is motivating people to do more. So I'm very, very confident that this will lead to replication of such initiatives across the Indian Railways. And now what I'll do is, before we, call it off, I'll request Neeraj, who has joined us today, who's the chair for Gift and Organ, Ye Ahmedabad. And he has been, the backbone of bringing everyone together today. So over to you, Neeraj, for giving the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Ashish and Samir. Quite an interesting session today. And जो लोग पर्यावरण से प्यार करते हैं उनके लिए आज का सेशन समुद्र मंथन से कम नहीं है और इसमें बहुत कुछ अमृत निकल के आया है। क्योंकि कुछ साल पहले तक जब हम बात करते थे कुछ भी पर्यावरण रिलेटेड इनिशिएटिव की, तो हम हमेशा एग्जांपल देते थे, क्या वेस्टर्न कंट्री का, यूरोपियन कंट्री का, सारे एग्जांपल हमारे सामने वहीं के आते थे कि वहां पे कुछ अच्छा हो रहा है, हम इंडिया में कब करेंगे। बट आई एम प्राउड टू से आफ्टर टुडे सेशन की हमारे खुद के देश में इतना कुछ हो रहा है जो हमको 2030 का टारगेट जो हम बात कर रहे थे सेशन के बीच में कि हम वहां तक पहुंचने में देरी नहीं होगी और ना ही कोई मजबूरी आएगी। मतलब वी आर वेरी मच ऑन आवर टारगेट। विद दिस ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ IIM Ahmedabad, I thank Western Railway management team for keeping us engaged, and we are always remain a partner with Ahmedabad division for doing all the great initiative. I thank all our panelists for today, Mr. Frederick Pariyar, Professor Dharmendra Parekh, Dr. Subhojit Mukherjee, Mr. Ganges Reddy, Mr. Dhruv Desai, for enlightening us with a great thought and great idea. Somebody can take out a lot of things from this. And a special thanks to both our hosts, both Ashish and Samir. You keep us hooked for the entire time, and I think you people are equally equipped with a lot of idea in environment. I'm glad to see that. And we also thank our partner association who have been supporting our drive and this webinar also all throughout the Ahmedabad and other city. Green Dream Foundation, Lions Club of Ahmedabad Karnavati, Leo Club of Karnavati Greater, and our official radio partner Radio City 91.1 FM. Thank you from my side, from Y Ahmedabad, once again for this great session. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks.
And look forward to stay connected. Let's
Thanks
keep the
everybody.
journey on.
And
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sure. Thanks.